Marcus sat quietly in the cracked leather chair of Fade King's Barbershop, the low hum of clippers and soft banter wrapping around him like a blanket. He hadn't been here in months, maybe longer, and for once, it felt good to just sit still. The scent of talcum powder, hair grease, and aftershave mixed in the air, grounding him in a rhythm that felt like home. Outside, the city buzzed, car horns, distant laughter, sirens far enough away to ignore, but inside, it was another world. He was heavier than before, broader too, his shoulders stretching the seams of his gray hoodie. Most people who saw him these days didn't recognize the man he used to be. To them, Marcus was just another big guy, a little overweight, quiet, maybe even soft. The type you didn't notice unless he was in your way. That suited him fine. He wasn't trying to be seen anymore. The barber, Rico, moved around him with practiced ease, clippers gliding along Marcus's scalp. "Man, you been hidden, huh?" Rico said, grinning in the mirror. "Ain't seen you in here since, what, before the pandemic?" Marcus chuckled, low and quiet. "Something like that." Rico shook his head. "You used to come in every 2 weeks, no missin'. You let that fade get wild on purpose, huh? Life got busy." That was the short version. The real story was messier. After his last fight, the one where he'd taken too many punches and lost in front of a crowd that had once chanted his name, Marcus walked away. He didn't want the ring anymore, didn't want the endless bruises, the headaches, the loneliness of training camps. He told himself he'd had enough of violence. These days, he worked at a garage fixing engines instead of breaking faces. The money wasn't great, but it was honest. He looked at himself in the mirror. The reflection didn't match the man he remembered. The sharp edges were softer now, less fire in the eyes, more weight in the cheeks. His hands still looked the same though, thick, scarred knuckles, a permanent reminder of who he'd been. The bell above the shop door jingled as someone walked in, and Marcus barely glanced up. Just another customer, he thought. Rico's shop was the kind of place where everyone came, old-timers arguing about basketball, teenagers laughing too loud, guys stopping by just to talk. That was why Marcus liked it here. No one asked questions. No one cared about who you used to be. On the radio, an old Nas track played low, bass vibrating softly through the floor. Rico started lining up Marcus's beard. "So what you been up to, big man?" he asked. Marcus hesitated. "Workin', sleepin', tryin' to stay out of trouble." Rico laughed. "You sound like you on probation or something." Marcus smiled faintly. "Nah, just tired of fightin'." Rico paused, looking at him in the mirror. You don't strike me as the type that ever gets tired of fightin'." Marcus didn't answer. He just met Rico's gaze in the reflection for a moment, long enough for Rico to sense there was more behind that silence, then looked away. Rico didn't press. In barbershops, there was an unspoken rule. You could talk about anything, or nothing at all. Either way, the clippers kept moving. A kid in the corner laughed at something on his phone. Another customer argued about the Lakers. Life went on around Marcus in easy, familiar noise. For the first time in a long time, he felt calm, like maybe this was enough. Just a haircut, just a normal day. He closed his eyes briefly, letting the buzzing lull him. It reminded him of the sound of the crowd before a fight, that low hum of anticipation, but softer, gentler. No pressure, no cameras, just the steady hands of a man shaping up his edges. When Rico turned off the clippers, Marcus opened his eyes again. The man in the mirror looked decent, not the fighter he used to be, but someone who might finally be okay with that. Rico brushed the stray hairs from his neck, laughing. "See, I got you looking human again. You was startin' to look like a grizzly bear, bro." Marcus grinned. "Appreciate it." He reached for his wallet, pulling out a few bills. Rico waved a hand. "Nah, man, you good. It's been a minute. This one's on me." Marcus frowned. "You sure?" "Yeah, man. Just promise you won't disappear for another year." He nodded. "I'll try." As he stood to leave, the door opened again, and a gust of cool air rolled in. He noticed the new arrivals. 3 men, young, all wearing the same black bomber jackets. The kind of guys who walked like they owned whatever space they entered. Rico's laughter died a little, just enough for Marcus to notice. He didn't think much of it at first. He'd been in enough barbershops to know that sometimes trouble came in through the door just to talk loud and leave. He slipped his wallet back into his pocket and adjusted his hoodie. But one of the guys locked eyes with him. A narrow, sharp look, half challenge, half curiosity. Marcus looked away, calm, unbothered. He wasn't looking for trouble. Not today. Still, something deep inside him, an instinct honed from years in the ring, stirred awake. It wasn't fear, it was awareness, the kind that whispered, "Stay ready." He exhaled slowly, nodding to Rico as he prepared to go. He didn't know it yet, but the quiet peace he'd found that afternoon was about to end. The moment the three men entered the shop, the air changed. The easy hum of conversation stuttered, like someone had turned the volume down on life itself. Marcus noticed it first in Rico's shoulders, how they tensed just slightly as he set the clippers on the counter. Even the kid in the corner, who'd been laughing at a video on his phone, went quiet. The tallest of the newcomers, a lean guy with tattoos creeping up his neck, scanned the room slowly, his jaw shifting side to side like he was chewing invisible gum. Marcus had seen that look before. He knew it well. It was the look of someone searching for a reason to make trouble. "Yo, what's up, Rico?" the tall one said, his voice cutting through the silence. It wasn't friendly. The way he said Rico's name carried weight, ownership, almost. Rico forced a smile. "What's good, Dre?" "Just workin', man. You need a cut." "Nah," Dre said, smirking. "We just chillin'. You know how it is." Marcus glanced at the mirror, keeping his expression calm. He could see them behind him. Three of them, all standing too close together, like a pack that hadn't decided who to bite yet. One of the others, a shorter guy with a gold tooth, jabbed his chin toward Marcus. "Big man talkin' up the whole chair, huh? Damn, leave some space for the rest of us." Laughter. Loud, fake, forced. The kind of laughter that came before a fight. Marcus turned slightly, meeting their eyes. He didn't say a word. Just looked. Steady, quiet, unflinching. That was enough to make Dre grin wider. I see how it is," he said, stepping closer. "You don't talk much, huh? You just come in here, sittin' like you own the place." Rico moved quickly, stepping between them. "Yo, Dre, chill, man. He just here for a cut, that's all. Ain't no problem." But Dre wasn't listening. He leaned around Rico, eyes locked on Marcus. "You deaf, big man?" I said. "You in my chair." Marcus exhaled slowly through his nose. His first instinct, the one buried deep under years of training, told him to de-escalate. Stay calm. Walk away. He'd promised himself he'd never go back to the old life, never give in to the anger that had cost him too much. "I didn't see your name on it," Marcus said evenly, his voice deep but measured. Dre tilted his head, pretending to think. "Oh, word. You one of them smart dudes, huh?" The shorter one laughed again, circling a few steps closer. "You sure he ain't a cop or something? Look at him. All serious and quiet." Marcus stood up slowly, his size immediately commanding the room. The laughter stopped. Dre took half a step back, then caught himself and straightened, pretending not to. "Look, man," Marcus said, his voice low, calm. "Ain't nobody tryin' to disrespect you. I'm just gettin' my haircut. You got a problem, talk to your barber." That should have been the end of it. But Dre wasn't the type to let things go, not with an audience watching. He reached out and shoved Marcus's shoulder, hard enough to test him, not enough to start a full fight. "You think you tough, huh?" Marcus didn't move, didn't flinch. His eyes dropped to Dre's hand, slow, deliberate, then back to his face. That was all. The silence that followed was heavy, electric. Rico spoke fast, nervous. "Dre, man, come on. You know my shop ain't the place for that. You want trouble, take it outside." But Dre was feeding off the tension now. He looked around, saw the other customers watching, saw the reflection of himself in the mirror, the man in control, and liked it too much to stop. He leaned closer to Marcus, breath hot and sharp with the smell of cheap whiskey. "I asked you something, fat boy. You think you tough?" Marcus felt the flicker of something deep inside him, a pulse he hadn't felt in years. The rhythm of his old life. The calm that came before the bell. "I don't think nothin'," Marcus said quietly. "But I know when somebody should stop talkin'. For a second, Dre froze. His grin faltered just enough for Marcus to see the insecurity behind it, the bluff. But ego wouldn't let him back down. Not in front of his crew. Without warning, Dre swung. A wide, sloppy right hook, the kind that would have knocked down a man who wasn't ready. But Marcus was ready. Before the punch even connected, he stepped back, pivoting slightly on his heel. The swing cut through empty air. The gold-toothed friend laughed, but it was shaky now. Yo, he ducked you, bro. Dre turned, furious, throwing another punch, this one faster, desperate. Marcus caught it midair. His hand swallowed Dre's wrist like a vice. He didn't squeeze hard, just enough for the room to go silent again. Don't, Marcus said simply. The word hung there, cold, final. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Even Rico stopped breathing. Dre tried to pull his hand free, but Marcus didn't budge. Then, slowly, Marcus let go. Dre stumbled back, rubbing his wrist, his confidence unraveling. Rico finally spoke. Dre, you done, man. I mean it. You mess up my shop, we got a problem. The three men hesitated, muttered something under their breath, then backed toward the door. Dre's glare lingered on Marcus the longest, but he didn't say another word. The bell jingled as they left. Marcus sighed, the adrenaline fading. Rico looked at him, eyes wide. Bruh, what the hell was that? Marcus just shrugged. Nothing. Some kid's looking for a story. He sat back down, calm as before. Rico tried to laugh, but it came out shaky. Man, you handled that like a pro. Marcus met his gaze in the mirror. Yeah, he said quietly. Something like that. The sound of Dre's punch hitting the wall echoed in Marcus's head long after they were gone. The shop stayed silent for a full minute, everyone pretending to look busy, pretending not to have seen what they'd just seen. Rico cleared his throat, nervously brushing stray hairs from the floor even though there weren't any near his feet. The buzz of the clippers felt different now, nervous, uneasy. Marcus stayed seated, calm as ever, though inside. His pulse hadn't quite settled. It wasn't the fear or the anger that lingered, it was the familiarity. The muscle memory. His body had remembered how to move before his mind caught up. That part of him, the part he'd buried deep, was still alive and waiting. And that scared him more than the fight itself. You good, man? Rico asked after a while, still pretending to focus on sweeping. Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah, sorry about that, sorry. Nah, bro, I should be thanking you. Those fools been coming around here talking wild for weeks. Guess it was about time somebody checked them. Marcus didn't smile. That ain't my job anymore. Rico tilted his head. Anymore. Marcus stood, brushing hair from his hoodie. For a second, he thought about saying nothing, keeping the story to himself like he always did. But Rico had that look, the one that said he deserved at least a little truth. I used to fight, Marcus said finally. Rico blinked. Like, street fight. Marcus shook his head. Pro, heavyweight. Back in the day. Rico's mouth fell open. You serious? Wait. Hold up. Marcus. Tank. Jones. Marcus grimaced. The nickname hit him like a punch to the ribs. It had been years since anyone had said it out loud. I ain't that guy no more, Marcus said quietly. Rico let out a low whistle. Man, I remember you. You was knocking dudes out on TV. My uncle had your poster up in his shop. You retired. Something like that. The door jingled again, and everyone flinched, but it was just an old man coming in for a trim. The tension eased a little. Marcus exhaled. Rico leaned against his counter. So what happened, man? You had the hands, the record, the name, you could have been big. Marcus looked down at his scarred knuckles, the veins that still bulged like they were waiting for a fight. I was big. Too big for my own good. He paused, letting the memory unspool. Last match I fought, I took a hit I shouldn't have taken. Doctor said I was lucky. Said one more like that and I might not walk straight again. So I walked away instead. The shop was quiet. Rico didn't say anything for a moment, just nodded, like he understood something heavy he couldn't quite put into words. Marcus gave a small laugh that didn't reach his eyes. Figured I'd leave the fighting to kids who still think they're invincible. Guess old habits don't die easy, Rico said. Marcus looked at him in the mirror. Guess not. Outside, the sky had gone gray, clouds gathering over the street. Marcus noticed the 3 gang members loitering across the block, leaning on their car, eyes still burning holes in the window. He met their gaze for half a second before they looked away. They weren't stupid, just young. They'd learned something today. He pulled a few bills from his wallet and placed them on Rico's counter. "For the haircut," he said. Rico frowned. "I told you that one's on the house." Marcus pushed the money closer. "Then keep it for the trouble." Rico chuckled. "You really leavin' after that? Come on, man, you like family now. You done saved my shop." Marcus smiled faintly, shaking his head. "I didn't save nothin'. I just reminded them to mind their manners." He pulled his hood up and glanced one last time around the shop. The warm lights, the smell of aftershave, the sound of laughter slowly returning. For a brief second, it felt almost normal again. "Take care of yourself, Rico," he said. "You too, champ." Marcus paused in the doorway at that word. Champ. It used to mean everything. Titles, crowds, glory. Now it just sounded like a memory from another lifetime. When he stepped outside, the cool air hit his face. The streetlights had started to flicker on, reflecting off wet pavement. He saw the gang across the way watch him as he walked past. One of them, the gold-toothed kid, looked like he wanted to say something, but Marcus didn't give him the chance. He just looked at him, calm and steady. No threats, no anger, just that quiet certainty in his eyes, the kind that said, "Don't make me show you again." They turned away. Marcus walked down the block, hands in his pockets, his heavy frame moving with the slow rhythm of someone who'd fought too many battles already. At the corner, he stopped to watch the traffic pass, headlights flashing across his reflection in a storefront window. He barely recognized the man staring back. Not the fighter, not the champion, not the tank, just Marcus, tired, older, still carrying the ghosts of who he used to be. He laughed under his breath. The city noise swallowed the sound, but it felt good anyway. He wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring. Maybe another shift at the garage, maybe a quiet evening with the TV on and no one to talk to. But one thing was certain. The fighter inside him might have been sleeping, but he wasn't gone. As he turned the corner, the neon sign from Fade Kings flickered behind him, half lit but still standing. Just like him.